us pray. Creator God, God of land and sea, of earth and sky, we thank you for our lives, our land, our health, freedom, and friends. For those who have taught and influenced us, our family, friends, and teachers. Please bless them and us. Give us wisdom to know your will and strength and courage to fulfill it. Amen.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Centennial Baccalaureate Commencement Program of Marion Steele High School. We begin our program by recognizing our guests, the members of the Board of Education, Mr. Klaus Bauer, President, Mrs. Carol Jajak, Vice President, Mr. Ronald Jacobosi, Mr. James Berthold, Mrs. Lucille Pierce, members of the school administration, Mr. Howard W. Dolmage, Superintendent, Mr. Salah El-Hindi, Treasurer, Mr. Timothy Logar, Director of Special Education, Mr. Robert Boynton, Assistant Principal. We have three special guests with us today. Mr. Lloyd W. Foster, Principal, Lorain County Vocational Center. Our baccalaureate speaker, Father Donald Smythe, a 1945 Amherst graduate and member of the Steele High School Gallery of Success. Dr. John Ellis, Superintendent, Austin Independent School District. Our commencement speaker, a 1947 Amherst graduate and member of our Gallery of Success. Also present are members of the faculty of Steele High School and principals and faculty members representing all of the Amherst schools. I ask that we all remember our commencement is a solemn occasion and request that we give to these proceedings the dignity which they deserve.
afternoon, everyone. I'd like to tell you a story. It's a true story about a little black kid who lived in the slums of San Francisco in 1961. His first name was Orenthal. He was a tough street kid, belonged to a street gang. I imagine with the name Orenthal, he had to be a tough kid. The street gang he belonged to was called the Persian Warriors. He was 14 years of age, one of the youngest in the gang. Once a year, the gang had a big dance, and Orenthal happened to be on the social committee, which meant that they had to get some liquor for the dance. None of the kids was old enough to buy liquor, and none of them had any money. So what they did as a practice was for about 5 of the gang to go into a liquor store. 2 of them would pretend to start a fight, and when the proprietor would run over, the other 3 would grab some liquor and stuff it under their coat, and then they'd all run out. This particular day in 1961, they were doing that, going from store to store. Everything was fine until they hit a store where Orenthal's mother used to shop, and Orenthal used to go along, and he was recognized. The social was Friday night, and when Orenthal came home from the social, the dance, the police were there. He was arrested, taken down to the juvenile jail, and spent Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday in jail. On Monday morning, his mother came to get him and take him home. He knew what was to follow. His mother and father were separated, but whenever there was any disciplining to be done, the mother phoned the father, and he came over and gave Orenthal a good licking with a big black belt. This particular day, the day that Orenthal was waiting for his father, he was upstairs in the slum, in a shanty slum in San Francisco in 1961. He heard his mother yell, "Orenthal, come down here." He went down, and there, sure enough, was a big black man. Only it was not his father. It was a baseball player named Willie Hayes. Now, to understand what follows, you have to understand that for Orenthal, Willie Hayes was a tremendous hero. He had seen him play. His uncle had taken him out to Candlestick Park, and he was just swept off his feet by Willie Hayes. And in 1961, Willie Hayes was at the top of his career. He had a certain way of catching the ball. He had a certain way of running. His cap would fly off, and Orenthal tried to do the same thing. He was a catcher, 14-year-old catcher. Orenthal said of Willie Hayes, "He was my hero. I hate to go so far as to say that he was my God because my family was religious, but it almost amounted to that. I could almost say that I worshipped Willie Hayes." Willie said to him, "Do you want to go out with me today?" And of course, Orenthal said yes. For the next 2 hours, Orenthal was in the company of the great baseball player, Willie Hayes. They didn't do anything extraordinary. Willie Hayes went to the cleaners to pick up a couple suits. He went to a store to buy something. He went to a friend's house to talk over plans for something, and he went home. Orenthal expected a lecture. He never got one. They talked about things like, what do you think of the new Chevy? Who's going to win the pennant? But those 2 hours with Willie Hayes transformed Orenthal's life. He said later, "I had an entirely different outlook of everything after that day with Willie Hayes." Orenthal's, that was his first name. His complete name is Orenthal James Simpson, but he is better known by his initials, O.J. Simpson, the great football player of his time and in many ways of any time. I have two brief reflections to make on this true story of O.J. Simpson. And the first is this: people who care make a difference. O.J. Simpson's life was turned around at age 14 by three people who took the time to care. One was his uncle, Uncle Hollis, who went to the youth counselor at the Booker T. Washington Center in San Francisco to a man named Lefty Gordon, and mentioned to Lefty Gordon that there was this young kid with enormous athletic potential who was in danger of getting himself into big trouble, and could Lefty Gordon put in a word for him with Willie Hayes. And he did. Willie Hayes gave only 2 hours of his life. 20 years after the event, O.J. Simpson met Willie Mays, all the way through this, Willie Mays. And Willie didn't remember the incident at all, but O.J. said he would never forget it. The life of a young kid was turned around by the fact that an uncle, a man that nobody has heard of named Lefty Gordon, and a famous baseball player named Willie Mays took the time to give the time to a young kid. People who care make a difference. And in your lives, you are what you are by people who cared about you. Your parents, your friends, your teachers. Second, we all need heroes. We all need people to look up to who are role models for us. Up to the age of 14, the top hero of O.J. Simpson was the chief of the Persian warriors. After the incident with Willie Mays, he had a different hero, and that made the difference. It turned his life around. He said this: "I had an entirely different outlook on everything after that day with Willie Mays. Willie wasn't superhuman. He was an ordinary person, so there was a chance for me. But you are what you are by the people whom you have looked up to. And hopefully you will have an influence on your children and on your friends by the type of person that you are, that you will be a person who can inspire their own lives." So the message to end is simple. Be people who care. Be people who have heroes that have healthy values that lead to life and not to death, lead to health and not to sickness. And finally, may the God who can give you the wisdom and the power to do these things, and who wants to give you that wisdom and power, may that God walk with you always. God bless you, and thank you.
The commencement addresses will be made by members of the class of 1987. They will be presented by Michael Beebe, President, Brian Edwards, representing seniors who attended the Joint Vocational School, and our class valedictorians. This year, 3 seniors tied for valedictorian honors: Scott M. Delleman, Allison Drake, and Beth Ann Januzzi. Beth Januzzi and Scott Delleman will present valedictory addresses.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, parents, families, and friends, and last but not least, my fellow classmates. I know I speak for my classmates and myself when I say we are proud and honored to be the 100th graduating class of Amherst. The quality of education in Amherst has been evidenced by such notables as were recognized by our first annual Gallery of Success, 2 of which are present this afternoon, Father Donald Smythe and Dr. John Ellis. They too traveled through the stages in life we are experiencing now in order to attain a certain level of success that we all are capable of achieving. 12 years you've waited for this to pass, to leave childhood shattered like glass, and for your mind to begin to expand far beyond the reaches of my hand. But it's just the beginning. These words are from a poem written by my good friend and our fellow classmate, John Lytell. Today is just the beginning, and every beginning ends something. Today we leave behind 12 years of laughter, tears, changes, few responsibilities, and begin to make our dreams reality. We step into our future, a future that will take us down many different paths that will be paved with new challenges and opportunities. As we walk down these paths and embark upon new adventures, we will be able to face these challenges confidently because of the rewarding academic and personal learning experiences we have had here at Marion Steele High School. Now is the time to take charge of our own destiny. But before any of us can do this, we must also realize that the important and decisive factor in life is not what happens to us, but the attitude we take towards these instances. Positive attitudes change everything. These attitudes will enable us to overcome our obstacles, thereby building character within each of us. Character that must be strong in order that we become the leaders of tomorrow. In a world of accelerating change, we, the graduates of today, will experience greater trials and tribulations on our way to success. As we share our final summer together, a summer filled with graduation parties and other joyous occasions, we recognize that we are now adults, and this is just the beginning. In conclusion, I would like to thank my family, especially my parents, for all their love and support these past 12 years. I know that my fellow classmates will join me in thanking their parents and those that have guided them thus far. And to you, my fellow classmates, I would like to wish you good luck as you take that first step into the future, and a final farewell to the 100th graduating class of Amherst, the class of 1987. Thank you.
Come on up.
Single file and yet together, we have shared our greatest days, and we carry common memories in different ways. Though we don't know where we're going, we will cherish where we've been. I want to cry. I want to shout. I want to let this feeling out. Hold on to the moment. Let the feeling show. Hold on to the moment. Never let it go. I can picture us together with my arms around my friends. Just let me hold on to this moment before it ends. There was laughter, there were tears, through the dozen golden years. The one most important thing I learned in high school is I must take risks to make each and every moment meaningful. You must take risks to lead a full life. I've seen this theme stressed in books, poetry, and movies throughout my 4 years in high school. And now I have a poem, another poem I'd like to share with you that talks about the risks that I think we all need to take. It is called Risk-Taking is Free by an unknown author. Risk-taking is free. To laugh is to risk appearing the fool. To weep is to risk appearing sentimental. To reach out for another is to risk involvement. To expose feeling is to risk exposing your true self. To place your ideas, your dreams before the crowd is to risk their loss. To love is to risk not being loved in return. To live is to risk dying. To hope is to risk despair. To try is to risk failure. But the greatest hazard in life is to risk nothing. The person who risks nothing, does nothing, has nothing, and is nothing. He may avoid suffering and sorrow, but he simply cannot learn, feel, change, grow, love, live. Chained by his certitudes, he is a slave. He has forfeited freedom. Only a person who risks is free. Don't be a nothing. Take risks. Take risks. Be them as small as shouting when you feel like shouting. Or asking that cute girl or cute guy out. Or telling that special someone that you love them. Or be it as large a risk as going away to college to pursue that dream. To pursue that dream to be a great doctor or a great lawyer or to be an NBA coach someday. Or as big a risk as going away to the Army or the Navy to become what you want to be. Don't end up like Clifford and Hepzibah in Hawthorne's House of Seven Gables, all alone in that deep, dark house. They're all alone because they're too afraid to go outside and talk to others and take that risk. They're too afraid that they'd be embarrassed. It's scary to take risks. When I was writing this speech, I said, heck, I don't practice what I preach sometimes. I gotta go out there and take some of these risks more often. But when I'm scared, think of a little phrase that I learned in this movie, one of my favorites, called Risky Business. When I know I need to take a risk, and I'm too scared to do it, I just tell myself, sometimes you gotta say, what the heck? You gotta say, what the heck, and make your move. What the heck gives you freedom? Freedom gives you opportunity, and opportunity makes your future. So go out there and make your future. Take those risks. Say, what the heck? I'm going to ask that girl out. What the heck? I'm going to go to college. I'm going to pursue that dream. I'd just like all of you to remember out there, every one of you. that the person who risks nothing, does nothing, has nothing, and is nothing. Only the person who risks is free. Thank you.
Good afternoon, graduates, parents, and friends. Myself and all the others graduating have waited a long time for this special day to arrive. Some of you have waited longer than others, and some have yearned for it more than others. But now that day is finally here. And some of you, my fellow graduates, may stop and ask yourself whether or not all this time we've spent in school for these past 12 years or so has really been worth it. Well, for the moment, just stop and reflect upon the knowledge that you now have. All the things that you've been taught. We've been taught how to think, how to solve problems, to determine what is rational and irrational, to make judgments, to learn how to learn. We all have experienced what it's like to work under pressure, how to take a test, and how to express oneself. For all these years, we have been preparing ourselves for becoming adults and being able to support ourselves in order for us to handle the challenges of life ahead. We have been taught the fundamental skills to be a part of our world today. By attending the JVS, as myself and a few others here have, it helps us to become acquainted with the working atmosphere. It prepares you for the future by acquainting you with a particular trade. Those of my fellow graduates that have attended the JVS have now already specialized in a particular trade. Many are already in the working environment, as I myself am furthering their skills. Some as drafters, carpenters, machinists, secretaries, mechanics, and so on. As you parents here today probably well remember, when you were in high school, you might have had the benefit of learning skills in these areas, but not in the intensified way afforded us at the JVS. If you wanted specialized training in a certain skill, you had to attend other schooling. JVS has provided that training for us, so that upon graduation, we can enter the labor force confident that we have received an education that has prepared us to do a good job. Ahead of us all lies the future. Some have various goals they want to strive for and achieve. For this day marks an end and a beginning. It's an end to a required amount of schooling, but it's also a beginning of what you choose to do with your life. Many have planned what they intend to do. For some, it'll be continuing on in their formal education, while others will enter the workforce or one of the military services. However, let us not forget that getting an education is a lifelong process. A Chinese proverb says that learning is like rowing upstream. Not to advance is to fall back. So today might mark the end of a formal education for some of us, but it should also mark the continuance of education in our life. For all of us graduating, this is a time of responsibility to decide exactly what we want out of life. And try to fulfill our hopes and our dreams. For one of our dreams has been fulfilled this day. I'm sure all have dreamed of graduating from high school at one time or another. And now that dream has come true. Let us not forget, today is not the end, it's the beginning. May we all achieve success in our endeavors, whatever they may be. Thank you.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, board members, faculty, and the Centennial class of 1987. This past October, I had the privilege of serving as Master of Ceremonies at the first Amherst School's Gallery of Success induction, which honored some of the finest and most successful persons to graduate from the Amherst school system. As a member of the selection committee, it was difficult to single out only a few names for that first induction because this school system has produced so many successful adults. As we went through the selection process, I was in awe of the impressive credentials of those who were selected. These persons were civic leaders, leaders in education, business, science, the military, and the arts. I recall how intimidated I felt as the day of the induction approached. There I was, this high school senior, about to rub elbows with these very important men and women. I was scared to death. But that day, as I listened to and talked with these former Amherst students, I realized that when they were our age, they were no different than you and I. They had dreams and hopes for success. They too felt the uncertainty about the future. They even played innocent pranks on friends while in high school. These successful men and women had been regular teenagers who had fun just as you and I have. So what made the difference for these graduates? How did they end up so successful? I can't help but feel it was their attitudes. These were students who were able to set goals for themselves and follow through with determination and a positive attitude to achieve these goals. Once their priorities were set, they didn't give up. They stopped only long enough to make adjustments along the way. Success didn't come easily for them, and neither will it for us. Leaving here, we all have dreams of becoming successful. If we haven't yet begun to add goals to those dreams, now is the time to begin. If we haven't already accepted the responsibility for creating our own success, we shouldn't put it off any longer, even though accepting responsibility for ourselves may be difficult. 4 years ago, when I arrived at Marion Steele, I knew only 2 students in the freshman class. I had attended my parish parochial school, St. Nicholas Byzantine Catholic School, where the enrollment of grades 1 through 8 totaled 90 students. I never thought I would survive those first few lonely months of my freshman year at Steele, but I was determined to succeed in my new surroundings. So I set a goal for myself and began to work hard to achieve this goal. Today, with the help of God, my family, friends, and teachers, I stand here as valedictorian, having achieved the goal I set my freshman year. All of you who have worked hard for something in your lives and finally achieved it know what I'm feeling today. Pride, joy, relief. Things weren't always perfect along the way, and I've had my share of learning experiences, pleasant and unpleasant, but I never gave up. Today, as we prepare to move on with our lives, we too must take with us a positive attitude as our first Gallery of Success inductees did, in order to accept the challenges of becoming familiar with new surroundings, making new friends, and overcome the mistakes which we will make along the way. Maybe we can all begin by setting a goal to one day return to reminisce at our own induction into the Amherst School's Gallery of Success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Principal Angelante, Superintendent Dalmage, members of the Board of Education, distinguished members on the platform, parents and friends of the graduating seniors, and of course the mighty graduating seniors, Centennial class of 1987, congratulations. We are proud of you and your accomplishments, and we want to commend you for all that you've done. It's an honor for me to be back in Amherst. I come from Texas now, as you know. I probably should say y'all have some nice sunshine this afternoon, but I won't. I'll talk normal. They talk strange in Texas, but it's good to see that green and gold and to know that I'm in Comet country. Now, graduation is a time of mixed emotions. And as you sit here, there are all kinds of thoughts running through your mind. Some of you are joyous, happy. Some of you are a little sad because you know this might be the last time you're all together. And there's some anxiety, and some of you are restless. You want to get this over with so you can get out and party. But parents, too, have their own emotions. There's joy, and for some of you, relief. Hooray, they made it. But in spite of all the emotions you have, I hope that one of the emotions running through your mind is appreciation. Because despite your wonderful work, your hard work, a lot of people helped you get where you are today. The faculty, administration, and staff at Amherst have always been noted for high quality, and I think they merit our applause. Things have improved in Amherst. When I graduated, I went to first grade. There was no kindergarten. And I went to the first grade in the old Central building, went to second grade there, junior high school, senior high school. We had our senior prom in that gymnasium and graduated in that gymnasium, Don Smythe. And the Amherst taxpayers have been generous to this community, and we need to appreciate them. And I hope that it's not just the appreciation you have for what you've received, but whatever community you go to or live in, I hope that you will support excellence in education, because education is the key to whether or not our nation survives. Phillips Brooks once said, "No gift we receive from God is truly ours unless we have used it to help others." And I hope that you use your many talents to make a genuine difference in the lives and minds of the community wherever you live after you leave this location. But I've left out one critical group for appreciation. I was so glad to hear some of your students report to this. Your parents. They have loved you. They sacrificed for you. I know my parents did. My parents were born in Scotland. They came to Amherst when they were very young, and they came during the Great Depression. Very difficult years. But they struggled and helped me, just as I know your parents helped you. So just as I will hope you today say to your parents, "I love you and thank you for all that you have done for me," let me take a point of personal privilege, and as a symbol of all the love and affection we have for our parents, thank my father, Ed Ellis, and his sister, Jessie Ellis, for having the courage and vision to leave the country of their birth to come to Amherst where I could get a good education. Dad and Aunt Jessie, will you stand? Parents, we love you. Now, I would ask the graduates, I know you're sophisticated people and you've learned a great deal, but I hope that today you'll rise above your embarrassment and tell your parents, "I love you." They'll probably faint dead away, but do it. Now, I'm impressed with this class. Superintendent Dalmage, they have a great history here. The class of 1987 provided the leadership for implementing the Gallery of Success program. 70% of the graduates plan to continue their education after graduation. 46% will attend four-year institutions, and 24% will attend two-year institutions. 25% of the class earned the state of Ohio's Award of Distinction. 25 members of the class at Steele High honor scholars. They've maintained a 3.5 average throughout 4 years of high school. 57 members of the class completed 2 years of education at the Lorain County Vocational Center, and the class of 87 contributed heavily to the new outdoor display sign. Class of 87, you are a super Centennial group. We have criticisms about our youth today, but ladies and gentlemen, as I travel around the country, I think that we have today the finest group of young Americans this country has ever seen. Now, you have a great start. And commencement speakers are notorious for talking about challenges and going out into the real world. Have you ever heard that before? Well, y'all been in the real world because you've been growing and learning, and that's what the real world is all about. That's what you must continue to do. You're going to move to a new phase, but if you hope to be a success, you will have to continue to learn throughout your entire lifetime. Whether you go on to college, go into the military, or start work immediately, you're going to need more education than you have right now. Now, what career are you going to choose? I was talking with some of you what you like about your class, and you say you like the friendliness and the way that you come together almost as a family. And some of you are not real sure yet what you plan to do. Now, most pundits say that you will have 3 to 5 different careers throughout your lifetime. But it's not merely changes in careers, but the constant learning that you'll have to do on your career. Let me illustrate. In 1947, way back, almost 100 years ago when I graduated, only a few research universities and the U.S. government had computers. They were slow, stupid, and expensive by today's standards. We now have on a single desktop in our homes the computer power that just a few decades ago only governments could own. But a computer is being designed today that will be constructed of protein and be so tiny it can be implanted in a human body. Unlike present computers, it will have the capacity to think. It will calculate at the rate of 1/1000th of a picosecond. Now, for you non-computer buffs, and I think many of them will be seated in the stands, let me explain. A millisecond is 1,000th of a second, a microsecond is 1/1,000,000th of a second, a nanosecond is 1/10000000th of a second, and a picosecond is 1/1,000,000th of a second. And this computer will calculate it at the rate of 1/100000th of a picosecond, 1/100000th of a trillionth of a second, and be so tiny that it can be implanted in your body and have the capacity to think. Now, that's the kind of world into what you're moving. Futuristic, frightening, yes. What's going to mean to have that computer power available? Who will get those computers? What will it mean to your home, your workplace, your personal life? Now, anybody who claims to know is a charlatan, but it's clear to say that you're going to be a generation that will have the opportunity to use tools we could only dream of. You will have the power available to you that will require being open to new ideas, change, flexibility, constant learning, and most importantly, character. For the Bible says, what does it profit a man if he gain the whole world but lose his own soul? There was a young man who was badly crippled, and wherever he went, it was laborious. He had these heavy crutches and moved up and down through the corridors and steps, and he was appearing at his college commencement. He was one of the most popular young persons ever known, and he was always cheerful. And someone asked him, said, "What happened to you? How did you get so badly crippled?" And he said, "I got infantile paralysis. I contracted it 2 weeks before the Salk vaccine was discovered." And the fellow said, "Wow, what rotten luck. But you're so happy, you're so cheerful, what's your secret? And he said, well, it's simple. The disease never reached my heart. And that's the secret to your success, your heart. Now, not every one of you will be wealthy or famous, and not every one of you will get into the gallery of success or have the outward trappings of success, but every single one of you has the essence of greatness within you if you will let it out. I don't know how many of you noticed a couple weeks ago when that blind woman was trampled in a bus with her seeing eye dog, and she stumbled 15 blocks before she got sent to the hospital and no one would help her. I think most of us were outraged by that, and we have to ask, what kind of society do we have when we see that? Now, I would like to believe that if you were there, if an Amherst High Centennial graduate had been there, it would have been different. And I challenge you, how will you respond? Now, as you get your certificate, this diploma, and you march across the stage, you're going to pass through a mythical arch. All graduates do, and you don't see it, but it's there. And that arch has printed on it 2 words, and those words are important, and no one escapes them. And it says on that arch, as you walk through, you decide. Yes, you do. Now, you may say, well, Dr. Ellis, I don't know that I have all the talent to become successful or to be compassionate or whatever. Let me challenge you. You have far more ability than you may think. There's a physical experiment where there was a heavy steel bar that was suspended from the ceiling by a chain. And then they took a little thread with a tiny little cork and set that cork swinging against that steel bar. And what do you think happened? It bounced off. 5 minutes went by, it bounced off. The steel bar just stayed motionless. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes of steady swinging, and after 30 minutes, that heavy steel bar gave an almost imperceptible shudder. And then slowly and steadily, that steel bar began to swing until it assumed the motion of that little tiny cork. Now, that's a physical experiment. You have a brain. You can call upon help. You can call on divine power if you persist. What a tremendous ability you have. Now we're seated on a football field, and I would have to be reminded of this young man who once talked to a famous football coach and said, Coach, what kind of body do I need to be a famous athlete? This is just a little kid, and the coach looked on him and said, young man, if you want to be a famous athlete, you have to have a body with 3 kinds of bones. First, you have to have a humor bone, sense of humor so that you can be coached and get along with your teammates. His second, you have to have a wishbone so that you're going to wish to be the greatest athlete that ever ran out on that field. And third, you have to have a backbone so that you're willing to pay the price, the discipline needed to have success. And if you think about going out into the world, that's what you need. Wherever you go, you're going to have to get along with people. You need a sense of humor. You have to talk to people and get along with people, whether you're in college or in the workplace. You have to have a dream. I hope you have a big dream. Don't make it a little dream. Dream big. And then be willing to pay the price needed for success, for excellence. And a dream for what purpose? I mentioned at the Gallery of Success program that one of my favorite authors was Teilhard de Chardin. And he said this, someday, after mastering the winds, the waves, the tides, and gravity, we shall harness for God the energies of love. And then, for the second time in the history of the world, we will have discovered fire. Yes, you have the capacity to discover fire. The fire to conquer disease, end world hunger, bring peace, restore harmony in our homes and communities, and to lead a life for good. It has been said, be afraid to die until you have won at least one victory for humanity. Will you do it? Remember the arch that I talked about. You decide. I believe you will, for you're the mighty seniors. The Centennial class of 1987, graduates of Marion Steele High School. Best wishes, good luck, and my heartfelt congratulations, seniors.
Steele High School, we all salute you, even as we part.
Members of the Board of Education and Administration, members of the faculty, special guests, parents and friends, the assembled candidates, having completed all of the requirements of the state of Ohio and the Board of Education of the Amherst Exempted Village School District, have earned and are awarded a high school diploma. I am honored to present the class of 1987, the Centennial class of Marion Steele High School. Anthony Lakatis. Suzanne Lenore Azak. Jean Marie Plesnick. Beth Ann Januzzi. Katie Lauren Andrus. Katie Lauren Andrus, Michelle Lee August, Stacy Joe Barlow, Lisa Ann Barnard, Rebecca Daleen Beetler, Dana Danielle Bender, Jane Mary Berthold, Jennifer Lynn Berthold, Christine Ann Biltz, Hillary Elaine Bodnar, Lena Louise Wagner, Michael Beebe, Brian Edwards, Scott Delleman, Joseph Michael Stavoli. Joseph is the class salutatorian. David John Alicio, Chad Michael Bancic, John Charles Barno, Ronald Paul Bates, Jeff William Bechtel, Matthew Beckler, Mark Anthony Bellino, Robert Jason Benson, Richard Dale Berry, Charles Basil, Thomas Bredlaw, Denise Joan Brannon, Rebecca Ann Berletic, Pamela Ann Broad, Carol Ann Bruning, Christine Marie Camarillo, Lisa Lee Chambers, Colleen Kelly Collins, Erica Jean Cunin, Cynthia Marie Denicki, Nicole Renee Deem, Tracy Lorinda Dick, Beverly Ann Dingus, Carol Amy Dostal, Elizabeth Duran, Lisa Marie Emmerich, Alberto Estorado, Eric Daniel Brown, Robert W. Brown, Matthew Kevin Burkett, Sean Eric Byrne, David Allen Cecil, Robert William Clark, David Ashman Cribbs, Yves Claude Crozier, Jeffrey Scott Currier, Mark R. Davis, Rodney Garrett Davis, Peter Dick, Matthew R. Dietrich, Anthony E. DiFilippo, Tanya Christine Erg, Cindy Ann Eshelman, Kimberly Faye Eshelman, Michelle Ann Esterly, Jennifer Lynn Evans, Barbara Fabricas, Jeanette Christine Falbo, Anne Marie Fazekas, Janice Marie Fitch, Sherry Ann Fitzpatrick, Lisa Ann Fleming, Mabel Jo Fouts, Farrah Marie Francis, Deborah Ann Garcia, Dawn Marie Gaffel, Mark Edward Dobrow, Shane Edward Dolumba, James Evans, Steve Evans, Steve Garay, Michael Glavin, David J. Glowacki, Russell J. Graff, Darrell B. Grimmett, Matthew Ronald Gus. Peter Grant Gus II. Carl Gutman. David E. Haas. Jack M. Hall. Harvey Hammock. Anna K. Haas. Mary Elizabeth Hall. Tracy Lynn Hamburg. Denise Renee Harkula. Deborah Ann Hardwick. Lisa Renee Henseroth. Amy Kathleen Howell. Tracy Lee Jacobs. Janet Diane J. Jack. Elizabeth Hope Kaiser. Jill Suzanne Cardos. Michelle Lynn Kellogg. Carol Marie Kedrowski. Cheryl Ann Lackner. Gail Ann Leinbach. Bruce Hammond. Mark Allen Haramia. Timothy Higgins. Darrell Hoover. Sean Rea. Stephen F. Hubbard. Richard Ha. Matthew Carl Kernahan. Richard A. Kirkpatrick. Matthew D. Kish. John R. Kobasher. Joseph F. Kapranica. Michael W. Karinko. Robert F. Koza. Mark G. Kramer. David N. Lewis. Christopher D. Ludwig. Jonathan Matthew Lytell. Donald Stephen McCann. Brian Keith Mace. Michael Mahar. Kevin William Mackinnon. Eric Christopher Martin. James Edmund Meyer. Kevin Mazie. Dave Miller. Joel Miller. Joseph Adam Miller III. Dave Miller. Robert Francis Malakar. Jason John Molnar. Lisa Marie Lombardi. Carmen Deanne Marshall. Kimberly Marie McBennett. Heidi Annette Michael. Levon K. Morgan. Melissa Dawn Monroe. Janelle K. Murray. Annette Marie Muska. April Mary O'Connell. Deanna Marie O'Dore, Susan Marie O'Delly, Carrie Leanne Ola, Julianne Margaret Oas, Yordis Vibeke K. Penton, Nancy Pozniak, Daniel K. Moore, Kenneth Gerald Moyers, Scott Michael Muska, Gary W. Neely, Adam Lloyd New, Jeffrey Christopher Novak, Sean Patrick O'Neill, Timothy Andrew Orantic, Darrell Charles Palmer, Fred Penna III, James Allen Pine, Sebastian Paulschmidt, Joseph Quickle, Joel Sean Repose, Troy C. Reed, Tamara Michelle Probanik, Julianne Marie Price, Lisa Ann Provident, Tracy Ann Raisler, Angela Marie Ramus, Sherry Marie Rangel, Laura Lynn Rumpler, Brandy Jo Rush, Tammy Lee Ryan, Kay Marie Sadowski, Tina Marie Samples, Jeanette Marie Sandrovich, Jean Marie Schindler, Pamela Ann Savinsky, Judy Lynn Speckhart, John Michael Reed, David Charles Restifo, Mark Anthony Riddle, Brad Riggs, Robert L. Rigsby, Michael L. Riley, Michael W. Riley, Michael David Rosie, Robert Allen Sands, Gregory Mark Saltz, Kurt J. Schreiber, John Slack, Jeffrey Scott Smith, Stephen A. Smith, William Michael Stanton, Michelle Lynn Starbuck, Nanette Kathleen Stempowski, Jennifer Lee Stywald, Dina Marie Stratton, Joan Paula Straw, Victoria Dawn Straw, Tammy Lynn Super, Jennifer Rose Sorowski, Dawn Marie Taylor, Mary Catherine Tellaha, Nicole Marie Temerario, Karen Tisich, Julie K. Tichenel, Marilyn Jean Watling, Tara Renee Worth, Michael Paul Stefanchik, John Sutton, Michael Swagamakers, Bob Sweat, Anthony Richard Taylor, Mark Allen Tenney, Charles A. Thompson, Scott Thorley, Roger T. Thrash, Frank Joseph Trentadue, Jeffrey John Sakamungas, Daniel Ulrich, Joe Underwood, Brett A. Villa, Donald Joseph Waltz, Deborah Lynn Wilburn, Rachel Lynn Wilson, Jill Ann Wolver, Sally Jean Wolf, Anita Renee Wolf, Danielle York, Christy Lee Keplinger, Alan T. Westwood, Lawrence Maynard White, Michael Kevin Witham, Ron Wood, Brent Ryan Yingling, Dan Young, Robert Paul Ziem, David Gray, Lawrence Martin Nyhart,
the benediction. May the Lord bless us and keep us. May the Lord guide and strengthen us. May the Lord give us his peace. Amen.